I decided to start this time travel series. I really wanted to take a trip down memory lane to some of the most incredible places that I've been to and most impactful trips that I've done in my adult life. This is really just a glimpse into my brain and my memory bank. Starting with New York City! If you've been following me from the very beginning, you would know that New York has always been my number one. I moved to New York at the age of 19 and I was very sheltered from my upbringing in Sydney. Both my parents are immigrants. I mean, I'm an immigrant. So we kind of lived a very sheltered life when I was growing up with my brother. And moving to New York was definitely a culture shock, but in many ways it wasn't, because I think I was just so naive. It was also a trip that I will never ever forget, because it was the first time I traveled by myself, the first time I had lived out of home, and it was the first time I did an internship outside of Australia. Being so naive, it actually opened up a lot of doors for me. I met a lot of interesting people. I also had the help from a lot of people that I met along the way who were often older. Number one, they probably saw how naive I was and kind of felt sorry for me. And number two, because I just really had no expectations. I kind of went there with a complete open mind. I didn't really have any boundaries. I was very just kind of fresh and came in as like a blank canvas. I soaked everything up like a sponge and I really took on everything that I experienced while I was there. I found an apartment through Facebook. Oh yeah, it was Aussies living in NYC. It was a Facebook page and I basically found an apartment on there. It was in Bushwick in Brooklyn. At the time, it was only just starting to gentrify, so it was still kind of up and coming when I lived there. And it turns out the housemate that I was going to live with, we didn't figure this out until maybe like 2 weeks in living with each other, but she was actually from my home suburb that I grew up in Sydney. And it turned out that her dad was my family's GP. How crazy is that?
I know when to go out, know when to stay in.
I just remember this one day and I think it just really needed to happen. Up until this day, I definitely feel like I had a bit of luck on my side. It was my first New York winter. I turned up to my internship. All the other interns were either sick, they had gone on leave early for Thanksgiving or something. That day I was the only intern in the office, and usually we'd have about 4 or 5 interns, which meant I kind of had to do a little extra work. It was blizzarding this day and I was basically a courier on this day. It was non-stop delivering parcels and clothes from A to B to C to D. Had the longest day, I didn't have a lunch break. Mind you, I wasn't getting paid for this internship either, and they didn't subsidize any travel fees or anything like that. Anyway, came back, I just did a delivery from Chelsea to Williamsburg. I thought it was the last delivery of the day. It was around 6 p.m. Suddenly, they made me deliver another parcel back to Williamsburg to then come back to Chelsea, even though I lived in Bushwick. I was like, yeah, no worries, of course, I can definitely do this for you. Go to Williamsburg, come back all the way back to Chelsea. By this time, it was dark. It starts snowing. I come back and I'm like, okay, is there anything else you'd like me to do? Meanwhile, I'm like praying that I can go back home. and it's like 7 p.m. They're, yeah, can you please just, I was like, They're like, yes, can you please just go to Condé Nast to deliver this? That's like in the financial district. So I make it to the financial district and there's literally a line of like 20 couriers. When you deliver things, you can't really just drop your item off. You need to drop it off at the drop-off point and you have to kind of check in and sign who you're delivering for, who you are, etc, etc, the company you work for. Anyway, there's like all these protocols. After about 30 to 40 minute wait, I finally drop my stuff off, go all the way back to Chelsea, and it's like 8:30 p.m. by now, and they're like, okay, you can finally go home. I walk to the station. All of the trains are out of service. I'm like trying to walk to another station. Literally every station I walk to, it's closed. So there's no trains available and I'm trying to go home. An hour later, I finally get onto a train. The train proceeds to go and then literally out of nowhere, the train decides to just stop. All the lights turn off and then we're literally in the middle of a tunnel. All the doors open and we're just sitting inside a tunnel. No one knows what's happening. Everyone around me in the carriage doesn't even seem to blink an eyelid. I somehow make it home by 10:30 p.m. that night. It was really a day. Oh wait, the story continues. I get a text that night at 12 p.m. from my manager and she's like, hey babe, we're short on staff. Do you mind coming to the showroom tomorrow at 7 a.m? Mind you, it's my day off the next day. I'm like, of course, no complaints, you know. Wake up the next morning after this horrific day that I've just had. I make my way to Chelsea, show up to the showroom at 7 a.m. and then my manager looks at me and goes, oh, what are you doing here today? I'm like, I'm here for the showings. She goes, oh no, we don't need you anymore. You can go back to the office. And I'm like, it's my fucking day off. All I could do was laugh. And you know what the lesson of that day really taught me was sometimes you can have really, really good days and then other days the city will really, really try and break you down.
We walk around pretending we're all grown up. Hey rich girls, what can you tell me? Why?
I love being spontaneous, but I can also be so predictable. Like as soon as I land in New York, the first restaurant that I will go to is Raku. It's a Japanese restaurant. They specialize in soba and udon noodles, and it is the first and last meal I will have in New York. It's just, it's like my ritual. I have to do it. It is currently Sunday, day 3 of Fashion Week, or day 2. I'm with Vicky. And we just did a shoot for Tommy Hilfiger. I went to the Tory Burch show this morning, and now we're on our way for a little early dinner before the night begins. Thank you. Monday, currently wearing Zimmerman and a skirt by Age.
They say an end can be a start. Feels like a barbarian still alive. It's like a bad day that never ends. I feel the chaos around me.
I'm just in Brooklyn. What's the day again?